Hey folks, welcome back to Wisconsin Family. We are sitting here at Capitol Brewery in Middleton in the beer garden.
In the beer garden.
We are,
There's
yes.
beer growing everywhere around here. It's great.
Sort of, but we're going to chat with those folks a little bit later. Right now we're going to talk to Michelle, who comes from Isthmus Acupuncture, owner actually, and one of our pals here on Wisconsin Family. Glad to have you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah. So I'm so glad to chat with you. I always credit Michelle with my easy labor because I went and saw them right before I had my baby and had such a nice experience. So that's my Isthmus Acupuncture plug because I really enjoyed my experience. But we're actually going to talk about cold and flu season a little bit today.
Yep.
And you guys really are, holistic in terms of health and your approach. And I want to talk a little bit about some natural ways to support the immune system going into fall and winter, and it's coming for us. So
right, and we can definitely feel fall in the air today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the best things that I learned probably 20 years ago that you can do to help prepare for this time of year, and especially going back to school, is to support your immune system naturally and look at different things you can make at home and different things you can do at home. This is one of my favorite things to do. I don't know if you guys can see it that good, but it's garlic.
Okay.
It's peeled garlic in honey. And what happens?
Oh, that's what that is.
Yep,
okay.
it's peeled. You were probably wondering.
I didn't know what the substance was. I can see the garlic.
It kind of looks like beer, but it's not. But what you do is you take a whole head of garlic and you take the cloves and peel them, and then you add enough honey to cover the top of it.
Okay.
And if you let it sit for about 6 to 8 weeks, most of the garlic odor disappears.
Okay.
And you're left with honey infused with all the great natural properties that garlic has to boost the immune system.
I see. So you can discard then the garlic.
Yes, then you can discard the garlic, and then you're set for the entire cold flu season usually, and the entire winter. And then if you feel like you have a scratchy throat coming on, or you might be a little bit under the weather or feel a little weak, you can just take a teaspoon of that. And especially if you have a sore throat, you can just swallow it and it'll coat your throat, and it'll have the healing properties of the honey and the garlic. Or you can mix it with like a hot lemon water and have it kind of like a hot toddy at home. And that's one of the best things you can do. Hot toddy. And it's really great for children too, because a lot of times you don't want to give kids over-the-counter cold medicine because there's some issues with that. And this just works perfect for an alternative for coughs and cold and flu and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I gotta tell you, it may seem a little silly right now to do this because it's got to sit for like 6 weeks or something.
So you have to plan ahead.
You gotta plan ahead a little bit, but when you're sick, you will do anything to feel better and be able to avoid that groggy feeling from some of the medications. So even if it seems silly now, do it, and I guarantee you'll be glad you did.
Yep, definitely. And you should be able to make enough to last you all season, and then next year you just make a fresh batch. And then unfortunately, if you do get a lot of congestion and cold or different things like that, you can use that 2-3 times a day. And then also another one of my favorite tricks is to take garlic and mix it with olive oil.
Okay.
And then use that if you have any congestion in the ears. So a lot of times kids will get earaches or ear congestion, or if your sinuses get all plugged up, sometimes it can back up into the ears.
Right.
Yeah.
So that works like magic. My husband gets a lot of ear aches, and so does my younger son, and we've used that every time, and it's taken care of it beautifully.
Wow. That's great for kids. I mean, kids have, it seems like, ear issues all the time. Their little growing bodies. So what a great thing. And you can make that at home. These are things you probably already have.
Yep.
Maybe get a little bit of fresh garlic and put it together.
We talked about ways that you can prevent kind of head off at the pass, so to speak. And then if you do get congested, you talked about some things you can do as well. What about kids? Are there any special remedies that you talked a little bit about this olive oil? You said that's what.
Yep, the garlic infused olive oil.
In general, are there any things that is more particularly effective for kids?
Yes, kids do really well usually with Chinese herbal medicine or even Western medicine. There's a difference between the way we use herbal medicine in the West and with Eastern Asian medicine. In East Asian medicine, they'll usually combine between 6 and 12 different ingredients to work with the synergistic nature of the herbs, and that can be really strong. And so we have a whole pediatric line of herbs that are in a glycerin base, so it's really important to get a pediatric line, because what's usually good for children is got to be adjusted for the dosing for adults and or how they take it, because a lot of time kids won't do well with like an alcohol-based tincture, but they'll do better with a glycerin-based tincture. And even probiotics, there's a lot of people out there looking for ways to boost their immune system, and probiotics does a great job. The flora that are in kids' digestive tract is a little different than adults. So there's actually a different pediatric type of probiotic that you can get that's more appropriate for children, usually up to about the age of 8 or 10. You'll want to go with more the pediatric lines of all your supplements and immune boosters.
Wow, okay. Wow. Good to know.
Lots of good information there.
Yeah, the difference in kids and adults, of course, is you got to be mindful of that. Let's talk a little bit really quick before you go. When do you call a doctor? You're using natural remedies. What's the cutoff?
Right. So if you've had a high fever for probably over 24 hours, or if the fever's over 103, then you really probably should call the doctor right away, or at least call the nurse on call. And then you can always call them and let them know that something is brewing and you're trying some natural remedies, and let them know so they can advise you, when to come in, or maybe just make a follow-up appointment. These are great for first line of defense. However, if you need antibiotics or something like that, you really should be in touch with your doctor to get that right, as quick as possible.
Yeah, there's that line. You gotta, these are gonna work for, certain levels of illnesses.
Yeah.
But you want to still take precaution, I think.
Right. And if you can do these things ahead of time, it's really better for our environment and where we're going with healthcare, because there's all those antibiotic resistant strands now of bacteria and infections and different things like that. If we can use less antibiotics when we don't need them, then we'll have them when we really do.
Yeah.
So that's really
smart.
Important.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very true. Well, thank you so much, Michelle. Make sure you check them out over at Isthmus Acupuncture. Michelle and her team are absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
And can help with natural remedies, acupuncture, of course, all kinds of wonderful things. Try it and test it. I can attest to that.
There you go.
We got more Wisconsin Family coming up right after the break. We're here at Capitol Brewery in Middleton, and we'll be right back.